Well, last year it felt like we had budget overload, one budget every 5 minutes, but somehow this year it feels a very long time since the March budget. So much has happened, and we really seem to be entering a new world, what with Brexit, and Donald Trump on the way to the White House, not to mention a new Chancellor and Prime Minister.
I agree, it does feel like a lot has changed, and it's going to be very interesting to see what Philip Hammond's first mini budget is like. There could be lots of changes as he abandons previous attempts to balance the books in this Parliament and stamps his authority on things.
Yes, but rumours have it that despite this, the emphasis is still going to be very much on steady as she goes.
Perhaps, but as effectively it's a new government, they are likely to have new priorities, so it wouldn't surprise me to see some major tax changes.
Well, true. Certainly I've been topping up my pension in the last few months. They dropped big pension review in the build-up to the referendum, but I could see that coming back now in an attempt to raise some short-term revenues. So we could well see the end of tax relief on pensions as we know it, especially for high-rate taxpayers.
Yeah, possibly. Or perhaps it could be a two-tier system depending on whether you're under 40 and able to qualify for the lifetime ISA. What else do you think will happen?
Well, we pretty much know that there'll be an end to most salary sacrifice arrangements. Personally, I've never really seen why that's tax avoidance. The individual's still being taxed on what they receive, but they seem to be perceived as tax avoidance, and I expect them to go, except for some very specific things such as childcare vouchers.
It might be too soon for really major changes, but it wouldn't surprise me if the government didn't perhaps look at inheritance tax reliefs. Some would argue that perhaps you don't really need agricultural property relief when business property relief can protect the working farmer. Would be a revenue raiser for some, but perhaps APR could be scrapped in the name of simplification at some point.
I think you're right at some point. I'm concerned about capital gains tax too. For a while we've expected some sort of restriction on entrepreneurs relief to stop it applying to development land projects. Perhaps that will finally catch up with us.
Okay, well what about the 20% rate that was announced in the March budget? That took everyone surprised. Do you think that will be under threat?
It did take everyone by surprise, but I understand 20% to be just about the optimal level for raising revenues. CGT, it's a voluntary tax, you don't have to sell things, so being much higher would put people off crystallising their gains. And I think I've genuinely seen the 20% rate allow clients to sell things I don't think they'd otherwise have sold. So I don't think they'll change it, but I don't think we'll see it go any lower at any time soon. Something else I'd welcome seeing is a further announcement on making tax digital. It already sounds like the project will be put off until 2019 instead of 2018, but it still appears to add nothing but compliance costs for both the taxpayer and HMRC. It'd be good to see major changes to the plans in this area, but I suspect we'll have to wait for the March budget to see anything much on this.
Yeah, I think we will have to wait a while on that. I don't think we're going to be seeing any big structural changes to tax in the next 2 years, such as the much talked about merger of income tax and NIC. Government's really got far too much on their plate with Brexit. And of course, if we're going to rewrite the rule book, we'll need to know what sort of Brexit we're going to have. That's going to determine how much flexibility the government will have.
Indeed, at the moment they've got to be so careful of non-discrimination, freedom of establishment, not to mention state aid rules, and the fact VAT is a European tax.
Well, exactly. If we stay in the single market, similar restrictions might still apply.
Or, if we have a hard Brexit, then the government of the day might have a completely free hand with tax. Wherever you stand on Brexit, as a tax advisor, that's a prospect that excites me and fills me with dread at the same time.
23rd of November will make for very interesting viewing.
Indeed.